minutes, followed by all new episodes of The Equalizer, NCIS Los Angeles, and SWAT. For Adam Archuleta, AJ Ross, Gene Steratore, the rest of our crew here in Santa Clara, Greg Gumbel saying so long from Santa Clara, California. Happy New Year, everyone. You've been watching the NFL on CBS.
Yeah, a win feels good. But you know what feels better? A BetMGM win. Hitting overs, hitting unders, covering those spreads. Woo! That's how we do, baby. Now hold on a second. Now you're winning with the king of sportsbooks.
We all need help.
Well then,
Just not always the same kind.
wait.
Maybe you just need a little.
Thanks.
Maybe you need a lot.
Nice technique.
It seems like she's got it, but she might need an extra hand later. And when it comes to taxes,
So, where are you moving to?
H&R Block can help a little or a lot. At H&R Block, get the expert tax help you need, online and in person. Help is here.
It's happening. Do you have a gun?
I'm Sydney Prescott. Of course I have a gun.
Hello, Sydney. It's an honor to scream.
Can everybody hear me now? Oh, I apologize. I'm sorry, everybody. Jeez. That's totally my bad. I'm 2 minutes into the show and then no one can hear it. I apologize, everybody. I don't know why you were not hearing me, but that's my bad. So let me start it over here, everybody. Again, apologies. This is the Niners Nation Podcast Network. Rate, review, follow the Niners Nation Podcast Network. Usually we have our stuff together. Bay Martin, I appreciate you hitting me up on the super chat there to alert me that there's no audio. So thank you for that. So as I said, it looked on paper like the 49ers, were in control of this game, 23-7. You expect that that's what it's going to take against a bad team. You expect that that's what the 49ers were going to do, but it didn't always feel like that. It didn't always feel like the Niners were in control of this one. And like so many 49ers games that we have seen, it was a tale of two halves. The first half, right? Like let's be honest about what we saw from Trey Lance there. He looked shaky. He looked like things were too fast for him, like he was a little bit overwhelmed. But I think he got more comfortable. And I think Kyle Shanahan got more comfortable with him as the game went along. I think that they kind of learned, like Lance calmed down a little bit. I think Kyle kind of learned what he needs to do to get Trey comfortable, what Trey is best at. And that's going to take time. And we can get into all of that. But let's just get into some of the raw numbers here. First off, Lance for the game, 16 of 23, 249 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. He was sacked once, quarterback rating of 116. In the game, the 49ers ran 61 plays for 416 yards. They averaged 6.8 yards per play. A lot of that was the rushing. They ran for 175 yards on the day. And it's so weird. Like that, it's such a deceiving those are such deceiving numbers, right? Like you look at those numbers and you think the 49ers just rolled. But again, it did not feel like that. In the second half, they were much, 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 much better. Trey Lance, 6 of 10, I believe, for 144 yards and 2 touchdowns in the second half. There were a few key moments in this one. And I think the first one we all know, Marcel Harris gets the interception in the third quarter. And you're like, yes, awesome. And then he immediately fumbles the ball and the Texans recover. Now, the ref said his forward progress was stopped. I don't know about that one. Maybe by the letter of the law, but certainly not the spirit. Niners get the ball back. What happens? Trey Lance goes deep. They throw another flag, super late flag. Niners get the pass interference, 37-yard play. and they eventually scored a touchdown, and they were kind of rolling from that point on. It seemed like it was a lot better, but that was a huge point in the game. And I don't want to hear anybody say like it shouldn't have counted or the 49ers got a gift or whatever, because we've seen in many other games this year, the calls and the breaks have gone against the 49ers. So forget that. Like, you take the breaks and you take advantage of them, and that's what you do. The good teams take advantage of the situations that they get. The 49ers got multiple in this game, and they took advantage, and that's how you get the win. And that's how you beat a bad team. So credit to the 49ers. Just a quick note, we were supposed to have Akash Anavarathan here, but something popped up last second for him. He's not going to be able to join us, but we should have Grand Poobah of Niners Nation, Kyle Posey, to join us. So hopefully he's going to hop in here in a little bit. And the question I want to ask everybody, the simple one, but I think it's clearly the story of the day, and that's, what did you think of Trey Lance? Kyle McAndrews, play blows up. We don't have to take a loss. What? I'm not sure what you're referring to, Kyle, but I appreciate the super chat there. What did you think of Trey Lance? Because it was some up, some down. I saw a lot of people on Twitter, especially in the first half, taking a lot of bows, talking about Jimmy Garoppolo, talking about, oh, you missed Jimmy now, and all this crap, which was ridiculous. And in the second half, obviously, he looked much better. I'll be very interested to see what he said after the game. How about this comment from Hindi, watching on the Niners Nation YouTube page? Let Lance cook. Yes, that's pretty much it. I like this comment from Chris. Lance looks shaky, but he also hadn't played in 10 weeks. That's the thing. One of the things I said going into this game, how does Trey look as the game progresses? I expected him to be a little, overwhelmed. I expected him to look and not really see the field and see things slowly. He's only played 6 quarters this year, and he only played 1 game in college last year, and he's 21 years old. Yeah, there's an adjustment. That's why I was so mad at all the idiots on Twitter that were trying to, pat themselves on the back talking about Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, what did you expect from Trey Lance? He wasn't going to come up and light it up out there, but he was fine. He was fine. Rome, the upsetter, watching on the YouTube page. Lance should have had a rushing TD. Let me just tell you, I had Lance as an anytime touchdown scorer in this game, so I was pretty mad that they called that holding call on Brandon Aiyuk and took him off the field. Not that anyone cares about my personal bets. The other thing I think that was different in the second half of this game, Kyle Shanahan stopped calling, for the most part, design runs for Trey Lance and exposing him to potential hits. Like, dude, what the hell? It seems like he was determined to get Trey Lance hurt at first. And then I think he kind of settled in and called similar plays to what he calls when Jimmy Garoppolo is in there, which is exactly what I was tweeting about. Like, just call the same game plan. You don't need to come up with this super crazy gadgety game plan, especially early on when you are trying to figure out, what plays Trey's good at, what plays he's comfortable at. You got to figure things out with Trey Lance. That's going to take time. That's going to improve going forward like it did with Jimmy Garoppolo. And so I just didn't like how Kyle came out early in the game and kind of exposed Trey to a lot of big hits. And in the second half, we didn't see that as much. Imagine that. Like, let's have a quarterback come out of the game healthy. Jose, watching on the Niners Nation Facebook page. Kyle changed up his play calling to fit Lance better in the second half. I agree. I think he did. I think that it was more of, like I said, what we've seen from Jimmy Garoppolo. We even saw some of the big passes over the middle. So I think that was more an indication of the offense that we're going to see. That huge touchdown to Deebo Samuel, that is a play that we're going to see over and over again. And I read online, now I haven't seen the film yet, obviously myself, but I read online, somebody was saying that Lance actually did a good job on that play, flattening out the route. In other words, if he had led Deebo up the field more towards the end zone, the safety was going to have a path to the ball. But Lance flattened him out a little bit. That kept the safety out of the play. And then Deebo breaks the tackle because he's Deebo Samuel. And I think it's like the law that the first guy can never tackle him. And he goes into the end zone and scores the touchdown. And that was basically the end of the game. Kent Dokel, sorry if I get your name wrong, watching on the Niners Nation Facebook page. I don't know what to think. I felt nervous all game, just like with Jimmy Garoppolo. I was nervous too, but it was different. It was a different nervous. And you felt it. On the interception, especially, that was the first time I noticed it. It was like the first time Kyle called a straight under center play action for Trey Lance. He drops back to pass. He has time to throw, and the crowd, you could hear the crowd like start to cheer. KP, as I welcome in Kyle Posey, and I'm talking about Lance's first interception, right? It's like play action pass under center. He drops back to pass. And normally when that happens with Jimmy, I get nervous and I'm like, oh no, what's about to happen? With Lance, you literally heard the crowd start to cheer before he threw the ball. Now, he ended up throwing an interception on the play, but like Kent commented, he said, I don't know what to think about Lance. I felt nervous all game. I didn't feel that nervous like I do with Jimmy Garoppolo. How did you feel?
I think with Lance, the big plays are going to come. You know that they have a chance because in the NFL, going on these sustaining drives where it's like 10 play, 12 play, 14 play, that's not easy to do, man. So with the 49ers especially, they do not make life easy on themselves. And you can see with Lance that they can use the whole field now. And it's easy to get excited about that. So, yeah, I was really never doubting. And as a degenerate, I'm hammering the 49ers every time like they turn it over. Whenever something bad happens, all right, like I never really felt like they were going to lose this game. And maybe a big part of that is how they played on the other side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, the defensively, Houston basically did nothing the whole game pretty much. I just wanted to cover Lance to begin with. You know, I saw a lot of people, Kyle, dunking on Twitter in the first half. Ooh, Trey Lance doesn't look so good, huh? Well, bet you're missing Jimmy Garoppolo now. Like, and one of the things that you've talked about, especially you more than anybody, I feel like he's 21. He needs reps. And as he went along in this game, I felt like he looked better and better and got more comfortable.
Second game of his career, man. 21-year-old has not played football in 2 years. Yes, like this is the first time he's been able to do this, but practice is practice. You can only simulate. You can't simulate what happens in the game because everything you do in practice is controlled. So you can't do that in a game. So yeah, I think you hit it on the head. It looked like at first Lance was a little overwhelmed. He was running all over the place. But again, think about what he's doing. Think about the last time you've seen him on a football field. So it was a little naive to come out and think he'd just be hitting on all cylinders. But as you mentioned, as the game went along, he started to get more and more comfortable, realized, oh, I do have this really good player over here. I do have this really good player over here. I have this really good player over here. And he started to let the playmakers do the job for him instead of, wanting to drop back and throw it all over the place. So I was really impressed with that. And him, and again, like the DPI to the 37-yarder to Aiyuk, that is a great play. No matter what you think, no matter if it's double coverage, you're worried about that. In the NFL today, as we saw, the Texans' only chance today was those DPIs toward the end of the game. With the 49ers, that never happens for them. They don't get those free yards, and it seems like every team ever that the 49ers play, they pick up long chunk plays like that. So it was good to see them just use the entire field, stretch the field. And I know, people were tweeting about Lance's deep throw stats. He was like 2 for 7 down the field or whatever today, but that's not the point. The points aren't stats. The points are being able to use the entire field and how it opens up guys like Elijah Mitchell. Like, look at him today. He was able to bust a couple long runs because of that.
Absolutely. And this Jerome watching on the Facebook page, we got a deep defensive pass interference for it seems like the first time all year.
If that was the first time, I would not be surprised at all.
And think about it on the other side, the Niners have 19 defensive pass interference penalties this year. So that has happened 19 times against us and basically none for us. So it was refreshing to see. I don't know, it was kind of a ticky-tack call, but whatever. They called it. Good things happen when you throw the ball deep down the field. Does Jimmy Garoppolo even make that throw?
No, it would be very tough for him to reset his feet, throw the ball across his body 45 yards down the field. I'm going to go out on a limb and say no.
Breaking news, by the way, Sam Darnold just threw an interception. The Panthers are not going to tie the game up against the New Orleans Saints, so the Niners do not clinch a playoff spot today. The Panthers did not understand the assignment, Kyle.
I mean, Sam Darnold, man, you had one job, just one job. It's not as if the Saints are these this juggernauts either, man. But the 49ers shouldn't be in a position where they're relying on Sam Darnold.
True. That's true. What else about Lance? I thought the touchdown pass to Lance, he's outside the right hash mark, throws it deep down the field to Deebo Samuel, outside the left hash mark, almost between the hash mark and the sideline. Like that's a long throw. People don't realize how long that throw is. It's not just a matter of how many yards down the field was. It was also across the field. And these are the big plays. This is how it's supposed to look, isn't it?
Yeah, seriously, man. So they have all this speed on offense, but now they can use that speed by using the entire field. So yeah, I think we're just starting to see what this offense could look like. And even Kittle, like down the seam, like the
Oh,
one hander,
man.
beautiful play. Like he does something like that once a game. Where like how in the heck does he not have 10 targets? Because the Texans were not doubling, and it's probably just due to rookie quarterback not being. He's never played a game with George Kittle. Like, think
That's
about
true.
that. It is week 17, and this is the rookie quarterback's second start. In his first start, he didn't have their freaking best player on offense, man. And then we go through like 3.5 quarters until Kittle gets his first target. It's nuts. But just to the point, you can use these guys down the field with Trey, and of course he has to get better. Yes, he has to be more consistent, but that goes without saying. You're arguing against yourself if you think that we're not like that. And like there are times where he has to play better. I thought early on in the game, I don't think he understood what NFL Open was, where it's just like he would drop back, he would look at a guy, and because they weren't like wide open, he wouldn't throw the ball there. And again, as the game went on, he got better. Weird how that works.
Yeah, like imagine that. That's exactly what you want to see. You want to see development. You want to see comfort. I did see Kyle kind of going a little bit at Trey on the sideline back and forth a little bit. I think there was probably, Kyle is rough on quarterbacks. I don't think he's treating Trey Lance with kid gloves. And so maybe there was a little bit of that too. But look, if you told me before the game started that Trey Lance was going to go 16 of 23 for 249 yards with 2 touchdowns and an interception and also run for 31 yards, yeah, I would have taken that. I would have taken that happily and assumed that the defense would get it done. And obviously that's exactly what happened.
That is exactly what happened, man. So what happens next is what I want to know, because we are going to hear a lot. Is Jimmy healthy? Is Jimmy not healthy? Is he going to try to rush back? Because next week is for all the marbles, man. You have to win that game. You can't operate as if the Saints are going to lose. Shouldn't even have to worry about scoreboard watching. Just beat the team that you've beaten 5 times in a row, which, I mean, even today, like I never really felt like the Rams are that good. And I feel like Matthew Stafford is just not the same player that maybe we thought he was earlier in the season. But, man, next week is going to be so fun.
Stafford is leading the league in pick sixes this year, which is crazy. And some of them are bad. The one he threw is so bad.
Yeah.
But I will say for the Rams, like, this was like their see, we told you so game. At the end of the game, you had Odell making huge catches to keep drives alive in the game-winning touchdown catch, and you had Von Miller with the game-ending sack. So the Rams feel pretty good about things. But let's talk about that, KP, because Kyle Shanahan hasn't spoken yet. I'm sure they're going to ask him about it after the game, and I'm sure he's going to give some BS weirdo answer that we'll talk about for the next week. Who starts at quarterback next week? This is, again, today, the second time, and I keep tweeting this, and people keep coming at me, the second time the 49ers have talked about Jimmy Garoppolo's injury, and they have kind of downplayed it or slow played it, whatever you want to say, and the national writers, bam, have a follow-up report that directly contradicts what the 49ers have said. Kyle Shanahan said, I think on Friday, or it was at least this week, Jimmy Garoppolo does not need surgery on his thumb. What do we get in the Sunday Splash reports today? Boom. Jimmy Garoppolo does need surgery on his thumb. So it's like, clearly this is Garoppolo's people leaking this. You guys killed me last week when I said that. For days you were in my mentions. Can we all agree now that his people are leaking this stuff? Because that's the only way this stuff gets out.
Something's up. There's definitely something off. There's some kind of disconnect, and whether that's with Jimmy's people and the 49ers. I mean, who knows? It's all about value moving forward. But let's talk about like what will actually happen. Let's talk about the fact that Jimmy hasn't thrown a pass since they played the Titans 10 days ago. I don't know, man. Like, again, it's rest will make it better, and that's what the doctors are saying. They're making it sound like naturally the way that he will be able to throw and grip the ball again is just by waiting it out. You don't want him to not practice, though, right? Like, you want him to be able to test his thumb and not having to wait till next Sunday, next Saturday. We don't even know if the game will be on a Saturday if the game gets flexed. Like, that is a thing, which is kind of bonkers to say. But if the game gets flexed to Saturday, does that hurt Jimmy's chances of playing?
You would think, because it's just one less day to catch up. This is so crazy. just play the kid. We're going to play Jimmy Garoppolo with a broken thumb and a messed up hand that doesn't even work. I mean, who knows? Kyle Shanahan is speaking right now, and he said of Lance some real good things other than the bad interception. He protected the ball, which of course is the best news of all time. How about this? Breaking news, Kyle Posey. We may have witnessed on Sunday the end of the Josh Norman era in San Francisco.
Goodness.
Kyle Shanahan said that Josh Norman was not hurt. They went with Dante Johnson after the pass interference call on Josh Norman. That we could have witnessed it. Hallelujah. Thank God.
It took Norman like setting the record for defensive pass interferences in a season, basically, for them to be like, you know what? He probably shouldn't be playing. But I mean, this is the situation they're in. Hopefully, Emmanuel Mosley comes back next week because they were talking about how it's an outside chance that he plays next week. And so he's been getting better. To have Mosley back against, Kupp, against Odell Beckham, you do not want Norman anywhere near those two. That would be terrifying to think about. So, yeah, Mosley being back would be a big bump. But honestly, man, I know he had the pass interference. Dante Johnson is better than Josh Norman. Like, he just doesn't make the same type of mistakes. He can run a little bit better. And even made a nice tackle today, which, like, Norman will never do. Like, we've seen him miss all the time. So
Because he's always going for the strip.
Yes, with nobody there, which is beyond me, man. But, no, that was cool to see. But I think, in my mind, I'm more impressed with DeMeco Ryans, knowing that he's able to shut down opposing offenses. Yes, you're going to remember Jamar Chase and A.J. Brown, but think about how successful they are over the course of a game without any cornerbacks. Like, nobody's fearing their cornerbacks. In fact, you're trying to pick on their cornerbacks, and you just don't really have a chance to do that. So kudos to Ryans, man. He's amazing.
It seems like there reaches a point in every game where all of a sudden the other team realizes we should just throw it deep on the 49ers. They really can't stop. And It's like, why? I don't know why other teams don't start doing that immediately, but it's, the 49ers were able to withstand it today. And they, for some reason, teams are not challenging them. And I guess, like you're saying, that's a credit to DeMeco Ryans. As Ron points out on the Niners Nation Facebook page, Ambry Thomas playing better with reps. I think he is. He dropped a pick 6 today, KP.
Yeah, he had one, man. That was it. Like, you would think, like, Mills has made these type of plays where he will give you a chance. And even Thomas down the field, he had another chance where he had to make a play on the ball, but he's so close, which is why I think they're going to continue to roll with him. So he's the starter on one side, and he's playing that side of the field, which is where you usually play your number one cornerback. So I believe in their mind, he's their number one. Of course, he would probably switch back to the other side if Mosley does play. But, I mean, he does give them a much better chance than a Norman and probably even a Johnson, just because he's competent. Like, he can turn and run down the field. But he has to learn how to play the ball in the air. That hasn't changed over the past month, man. That's going to be something he has to really hone in on over the offseason.
Here it is. Kyle Shanahan, who's the starter week 18 at the Rams.
Here we
If
go.
Jimmy is 100% healthy and can do everything perfect, I definitely go with Jimmy. Breaking news. He's not. It's physically impossible for him to be 100% healthy. Shanahan said, I'm not going to throw one guy in after a game like this. Also hard to be 100% this year. If Jimmy can't go, he won't hesitate at all to start Trey. So in other words, he won't hesitate to start whoever he starts, Kyle.
Right. So he did say he has confidence in Lance, which is nice to hear him actually say that out loud. And he also said Trey did some real good things today. So it's nice to know that, there are some things that he likes about Lance, but yeah, he's not going to give us anything. We're not going to learn anything today,
No.
Tomorrow, Wednesday. We probably won't know until, Friday when the final injury report comes out, but still, man, they got to win. They came back, and I feel like they showed a different way to win. What we saw, the offense in the first half was atrocious. What we saw in the second half was exactly what they should look like. I feel like what we saw from the defense over the course of 4 quarters is who this team has to be if they want to beat the team like the Rams next week. Hey, and how about the special teams, man? No missed kicks from Robbie Gould. I don't know
Barely.
right. Hey, nothing that comes to mind that Wisnowski did poorly. And they had a 28-yarder from on the kick return from Hasty, and then had a couple of nice returns from Brandon Aiyuk, a couple teens returns that he had double digits from him. So it was as close to complimentary football as it gets. But I mean, if you want to be perfect, if the goal is to make the playoffs, you still You want to do something. You want to score a touchdown against the Texans in the first half.
Yeah, that would ideally, you would like to see that. I'm seeing a lot of people kind of poop on Nick Bosa a little bit. Where's Nick Bosa? Where's the pass rush? Look at this, Gabe. Bosa has been irrelevant for 3 weeks. I didn't think Nick Bosa was particularly active, I'll say, in this game. But you watch the game much, much differently than I do. You watch it with a scout's eye. I watch it with an idiot's eye. So you tell me.
So on that holding call that he forced,
Yes,
that's taking points off the board for the Texans. They complete a deep pass, like 40, 50 yards down the
it's a
field.
50-yarder.
Yeah, they're probably going to go on and score in that situation. So that takes off points from the board. I think he's active. I think you guys have to understand, first of all, think about what we're talking about. The bar is so high for this player, Nick Bosa, that if he doesn't get a sack on, once a half, we're wondering what's going on with this guy. Is he okay? Gabe says he's been irrelevant for 3 weeks. I don't agree with that. I think we have to understand that when you are a superstar, teams are going to double, triple. Like they're going to make sure that you are not going to beat them. And that's essentially what's happening. There are only, I think another reason or thing we have to understand is the win rates for defensive linemen are not going to be high. The best of the best are winning like 1 out of 5 times. And those are the guys who are elite. So, I mean, for Bosa to show up every down or for us to expect that he's going to have, multiple sacks or QB hits a game, that's just not realistic. That's not how this game works. I think he finds a way to make an impact outside the box score, and he did that today.
I want to shout out one more person, and that's Elijah Mitchell. Man, it is just different when that guy is playing. He is fantastic. 21 carries for 119 yards today. That's 5.7 yards per carry. He broke off a 37-yarder. He just runs hard. He does not run. He runs way harder than the guy who's capable of running like a 4.35.
Seriously, yeah. And he's not a big guy necessarily either, but he just finds ways. I don't know how else to describe it. It just seems like he figures it out on the fly. And when he plays, they play well. When he plays, it seems like the 49ers always have their best offensive outings.
Yep.
So, yeah, give him the ball, man. And I think it really says something about Shanahan's trust in him that whenever Mitchell is active, like there's nobody else. Like there's not even a second. Like now Debo is honestly RB2. So, yeah, it's Mitchell, and then a sprinkle of Debo. No Jeff Wilson, and obviously no Trey Sermon.
Yeah, Elijah Mitchell was the only running back to get a carry in this game. Everybody else, Lance, Debo, and Kittle got a carry.
He's giving the ball to other playmakers before he gives the ball to other running backs, if that doesn't give you an idea of how highly he thinks about Mitchell. But that's probably what it's going to be like next week, and if they keep playing on.
Kyle Shanahan said, I love all of our running backs, but Elijah has played at another level this year. He absolutely has. He's phenomenal. I think he has the 49ers rookie rushing record, doesn't he?
Yeah, he did. He broke it today. So, I mean, everything he does, man, whether it's breaking tackles, just keeping them on pace, man. And again, it doesn't always have to be like the 37 yarders are going to be the ones you remember, but he was busting like 7, 8, 12 in there. Shanahan said Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't have to be 100% to start. Leave that in there.
Yeah, that's great.
Is he just messing with us?
What if he's 60%? Like, see, we're going to have to do this all week because Kyle, he thinks that it's really going to mess a team up to have to prepare for Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. Here's the prep for Jimmy Garoppolo. Everything within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, everybody between the hashes. Preparation over. Like, it's not a complicated thing. Houston knew that Trey Lance was going to start from the second that report about Garoppolo tearing his UCL came out.
Right. There's no reason to pretend like it's anything else. And even you don't have to play this game this week because you're playing the freaking Rams. You're playing Sean McVay, man, the guy who worked for you. You're playing a team that is as familiar as any team with you in the league. So, I mean, it's going to be they're going to probably still do it just because it's Kyle Shanahan. But I imagine the Rams are going to be prepared for Lance. Who do you think starts? Like, what's your gut tell you right now?
Oh, man. See, the fact that the 49ers now need this game,
which matters,
changes things. I think Kyle is desperate to get into the playoffs this year. I think he hates the fact that he has all those losing seasons and he only 1 year in the playoffs. And I honestly think that if Lance didn't have the second half that he had today, I maybe could see Kyle being like, we got to go back to Jimmy. We'll never beat a good team like this. But the fact that Lance, like I said, I believe he was 6 of 10 for 144 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think it was, if it wasn't that, it was right around that in the second half. Like
And they would have scored another one had Aiyuk not held on that play when he really didn't have to. So sorry to interject, but
no, go. It's okay.
You have those. So they scored 20 points and a half. How many times has that happened this season? And
Fair.
yes, they're playing the Texans, but the Texans just dropped 41 last week. So I would love to know how many times they scored 20 points and a half. Also on the drive or in the second half, drives of 71, 65, 58. So they're moving the ball, and on each of those drives, you're getting chunk plays. You have the DPI to Aiyuk, you have the Kittle catch, you have the Mitchell catch, you have the Debo touchdown. So the more Lance played, essentially, the more we saw what the 49ers would potentially look like with those explosive plays. So, I mean, I would go with Lance, just knowing are you probably going to have a rookie mistake? Yeah, that's probably going to happen. Has that been happening with the other guy under center? Yeah, that's been happening with Jimmy as well. I think he just raises the ceiling. Unfortunately, though, even like at the end of the half where I thought Jimmy's money in those situations, I think Lance has to be a little bit more consistent for that to happen. Just knowing that you can't fall behind against the Rams and expect to be able to come back from like a 10-0 deficit. Because, I mean, the 49ers, the defense, they scored one time on 11 drives today. So the 49ers had plenty of chances. And there were a few penalties, like the interception that Marcel Harris fumbled. Like, they're not going to be able to get some of the breaks that they got today. The football gods did everything in their power for the 49ers to win today. And thankfully, the offense woke up in time for that to happen.
One thing I want to get in real quick. David Luna wants a shout out for he and his cousin Alex, who've been following the pod for a long time. What's up, David? What's up, Alex? Thanks for following. We appreciate it. Again, everybody follow the Niners Nation Podcast Network if you're not doing so already. Leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to pods. You tweeted, I believe today, I think that was you, that the 49ers defense with a lead is one of the best in the league. What did you mean by that, and why do you think that is?
So they're already very good against the run. And when they know that you're going to pass, so like when you remove the play action drop backs and like those type of things, the only thing that you can do against the 49ers is throw it deep. And even knowing their cornerback situation, knowing that DPIs are a real thing, the odds that you succeed on those passes are so slim. Like, we're talking 15 to 20%. If that's how you get beat, which the Texans did a couple times today, sure, then beat us like that. You saw it with the Bengals. Like, those are the only ways that they're going to give up those plays. That's not sustainable. That's not how you're going to beat the 49ers, because as we saw more times in the DPIs and more times in the explosive plays, the pass rush is going to get after you. Like, there's just no way you can block the 4 players that they put on the field, whether they go Key, Armstead, Bosa, and then whether it's DJ Jones. I'm blanking on somebody now who's very important for whatever reason, but why can I not think of who else they have on the field? So, Ebukam. Ebukam's the other guy who they have on the field.
He's been showing up lately.
Yeah, he had the sack today, so he's been coming alive. When they have those 4 on the field, it is very hard for teams to slow you down. And you have to think about the linebackers are very good. Next week, it'll probably be Dre Greenlaw back, so that'll be nice. And then down the middle of the field, Jimmy Ward, Jaquaski Tart, both of them played well today. So there are not a lot of areas on the field where you can take advantage or get over on this defense outside of, those hope plays like the DPI or, close your eyes and throw deep and hope one of your guys come down with it. So, yeah, I know it's easy to think about, the cornerback plays and the plays that they give up, but I truly mean that they are really one of the better defenses in the NFL in those situations. Just got to get that lead, man.
That the game script is massively important. Kyle turtles up sometimes. And I was so encouraged at the end of this game. One of the things I said going into it is, what's going to happen in the 2-minute situation? We saw against the Titans, there was a minute and 20 seconds left. The 49ers had 2 timeouts, and Kyle Shanahan gave up trying to score at the end of the first half. He didn't even call a timeout. He turtled up and went into the locker room. Well, Trey gets the ball with a minute and 51 left, and they tried to kind of get cute, and he goes 3 and out. But then Kyle gets aggressive. He calls timeouts when Houston has the ball, and he gives the ball back to Trey Lance. 38 seconds left at the 49ers 25-yard line, and he lets Lance throw the ball and be a quarterback, and they drive down the field, and they get a field goal to end the first half. I thought that was a massive showing of confidence in Trey by Kyle Shanahan, and a good job by Trey to get him down the field.
Yeah, that had to be a big boost of confidence, like a big vote of confidence in your quarterback. I think they were able to take that and roll into it in the second half because even when they were up 10-7, he didn't shut it down. And he could have easily shut it down knowing, hey, it's the Texans. We just want to get out of here with a win. No, they kept firing, man. They opened it up and they were throwing the ball down the field. I think that says more about how Kyle feels about Trey more than any press conference would. So that was good to see, man. That was a nice change of pace because I'm with you. I didn't think that was going to happen at all. I was thinking the 49ers were going to win the whole time, but in no way at halftime did I think the score would be 23-7. I was thinking more along the lines of like 13-7, something like that.
Shout out to Brandon Aiyuk, by the way. Had an incredible catch that should have been a pick, really, at the end of the second quarter.
Yeah.
Ball goes through the defender's hands. He catches it right on the sideline, stays in bounds. 4 catches for 94 yards for Aiyuk today. Man, he is so, and he had another play at the end of the half where he catches the ball and he immediately heads to the sideline, goes out of bounds, stops the clock. That's essentially a 3-point play right there. He is so good. And don't forget, the last time Trey Lance started, the 49ers were not using Brandon Aiyuk. And he was like one of their MVPs on offense today.
So on that play where he ran out of bounds, they were able to get 2 more plays towards the end of the half because of that. If he stays in bounds, they probably have to spike it and end up getting like a field goal, settling for a field goal there. So it didn't work out, but they throw a deep ball to Aiyuk on the next play, which he has a chance to come up with a touchdown. It was a perfect throw. It was a great, for Aiyuk to go up and give it a chance. But those plays aren't always going to turn out to be touchdowns. It was just nice to see them, to see him be a smart football player.
Yes.
Because we don't really get opportunities to see that very often where, what's a player going to do in that situation. So him creating plays saved them 2 plays. They created 2 more plays. And it's just nice to see them use him because he can do this and he should be doing this every game.
Yes, every single week. How about this comment? Kyle's learning Lance is not as limited a thrower as Jimmy Garoppolo. I think that might be true in that Kyle is learning. Kyle even said they can coach Lance a lot more now off of these 2 starts because it's going to take time for them to get used to one another. And I love this comment from Jason Ward. Stats, glad the vein in your forehead is getting a weekend off. Yeah, it's nice, man. I'm sorry. It's a nice feeling to have a good win and have some hope, some positivity with the 49ers, right? Like instead of them scoring a bunch in the first half and doing nothing in the second half and then having to hang on and to maybe get a win, they got better in the second half. The offense got more explosive in the second half. That's what you want to see. The vein is probably coming back now. I know. You better talk, Kyle.
I'm trying to think back just to the 20-point half. They scored 20 against the Packers, I believe. But did that ever happen? Like again, there's no way it could have. But
I don't think so.
To his question, it is so refreshing to be in a situation where you view the quarterback, and this is a guy who's in his second start, down 7-3 at half. And I know it's the Texans. I understand that. But in no way throughout the game did I feel like, oh, man, there's no shot they're out of this. It was only a matter of time. I even tweeted this during the game. Like, if he starts to play on time, the points will come. And that's what happened. Like, he just had to settle in a little bit, man. Again, he is young. Like, he's going to make mistakes, man. This is the second time that we're seeing him. So for Trey Lance to just kind of flip the switch and start bombing away, maybe that's what he needs to do. And maybe that's on Shanahan for call more plays down the field where if that's his type of playing style, do that. So good on him, good on Shanahan, good on Lance. And yeah, it'll be fascinating to see how he attacks the Rams because if we're talking about the familiarity between the teams, Kyle knows what the Rams are going to do. So how he chooses to attack the Rams with Lance, assuming Lance is the quarterback, that'll be fun.
Ms. Forbes watching on the YouTube page. Jimmy gives me anxiety. Trey gives me hope. That's where I felt like every time Trey Lance dropped back to pass, I was like, oh, dude, this could be a big play here. And actually on the touchdown pass to Debo, I got nervous a split second before he caught it because the ref was kind of like in the play for a half a second. And I thought the ref was a defender. And I was like, oh no, is this going to be another interception? But then once Debo caught it, I knew there was no way in hell that he was going to go down for a sack. How about this question? Krem on the Niners Nation YouTube page. Do you think Trey should develop
Red Zone channel? An entire channel dedicated to nothing but.
I blame you.
Yeah, that was for sure me. That was weird.
All right. Krem on the Niners Nation YouTube page. Do you think Trey should develop his mid throws? Yards after catch were big because of this with Jimmy, right? Trey will be a big threat. I thought Trey, he did have a couple of wonky throws. That's who he is. Like, the Niners talked up all week about how his accuracy is so much better because his fingers healed up. Like, no, he's not the most accurate quarterback in the world. Like, we just have to accept that. But hopefully he can make some other plays. And I think we saw him make those plays. Some of the off-schedule plays on their touchdown drive. He had a 3rd and 4 that was off schedule that he completed to Hasty for a first down. Like, he's not going to be the most accurate guy, and that's okay.
It's okay because he replaces that with explosive plays.
Yes.
Like, he makes up for his deficiencies. So coming out, he was by far the least accurate quarterback of Lawrence, Wilson, Fields, Mac Jones. So he was the least accurate quarterback. And that is still an area where he has to improve. As you saw, there was one play where it was off script. I remember he was scrambling and it looked like he has Debo and nobody else is around him. And he just throws it behind Debo.
Yep.
That's just one of those plays I feel like we're going to have to live with, at least early on in his career, until he just develops the timing and rhythm. But you can't get mad at those plays, or it's easy to forgive those plays knowing, I can go 45 yards down the field to Debo one play. I can get DPI for Aiyuk. Like, there are other plays, and you talk about the mid game, like the intermediate part of the throws. He hit Aiyuk on a slant, on a backside slant, hit him in stride, and Aiyuk was able to take off. So that was good, man.
Do you agree with Sean? I'm watching on the YouTube page. Trey wasn't throwing every ball at 100 miles per hour today. I think he was maybe early, but I think he got better with that.
I think the 2-minute drill is where you started to see a change. Remember the one he layered over, right? The one you mentioned towards the sideline?
Yes, so that's true.
When he started to throw the ball more, he realized that, hey, everything can't be 101 down the middle. Like, I have to have some touch. I have to start layering the ball over the defense. And we saw that, man. We have these thoughts in our head that, hey, he's going to do this every time he throws the ball. We've seen him throw the ball like 30 times, man. So we're going to have to, this is going to be a very fluid situation. I'm sure there's going to be a string of plays where Lance looks like, what the hell are they doing with him? And there are going to be plays like, oh my goodness, he is the best quarterback to ever play the position. He's going to be on the opposite end of the spectrums, but eventually he will be consistent. And yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that the 49ers have a franchise guy here.
Jonas Witt watching on the Facebook page. He had some bad throws, but Jimmy has them every week as well. I don't see a single reason to go back to Jimmy. That's the thing. He does have bad throws, but Jimmy does too. And you don't get the explosive plays with Jimmy. Listen to this next gen stats. Trey Lance brought a vertical element to the Niners offense in his second career start. Lance averaged the most air yards per attempt at 11.5 and threw for the most yards on 10+ air yard passes by any 49ers quarterback in a game over the last 3 seasons. So that's better than Jimmy Garoppolo in the Super Bowl year, better than Jimmy this year, better than Jimmy in 20. Like, think about that. There were 205 yards on passes 10 or more yards in the air today. 205. That's the 49ers don't get that with Jimmy Garoppolo ever.
That is unbelievable to say out loud, man. And I'm so glad that Next Gen Stats was able to contextualize that, because it's one thing to say throwing the ball downfield is better. But when you see when you see those numbers that you just said and you see how it works itself out on the field, because obviously things were a lot easier for the 49ers once they started using the entire field, I think that will help Shanahan's decision next week. But yeah, again, once this offense figures out who they are, once we get more comfortable with Lance, they're going to be exciting, man. Like, they're going to be really fun. I love variance. So knowing that, hey, there might be those drives where they get nothing out of them, there's nothing to worry because you know the big play is coming. And that played itself out today.
Now, I think against the Rams, it's obviously going to be a little different. I think that the Niners are going to have to, rely on their D a little more to kind of keep them in the game. Because if the Rams get up by multiple scores, that would make me nervous. But, we just got to go one game at a time here. I mean, we got to accept that it's not always going to be smooth, and that hopefully Lance can, come along here. I think he'll probably have to make some more unscripted plays against the Rams, because I could see him getting maybe a little confused a little more and trying to rely on his legs a little bit. But I didn't see anything today that made me say, if there's any chance to go back to Jimmy Garoppolo next week, they should. Like, no way. Andre says, turn the damn page. Jimmy should not see the field ever again for this 49ers team, and I agree.
Oh, man. Did you feel that way in the first half?
I was nervous. I'm not going to lie. But my whole thing was, let me see how he progresses here. Let's see how he looked. If he looked the same way in the second half as he did in the first, I would be more nervous for sure, especially now because the 49ers need the game against the Rams. But like, no, what are we doing with Jimmy? We're going to play an injured Jimmy Garoppolo who's not going to be around next year. For what? For what? So no, I'm all in on Lance. I agree. Blanton 125. All the weapons we have, and Lance can spread the ball around. He can't spread the ball around. We saw throws to the boundary. And even like that throw, there was a throw to Jawan Jennings where it was like kind of underthrown a little bit, but Lance has the arm strength to get it there when he's under pressure that maybe a guy that wears number 10 doesn't quite have.
Yeah, I think that's a good point where they can run those timing routes outside of the hash where they're throwing 12 and 15-yard out routes, which are layups in any defense because that is a very difficult area to defend. And we just don't see the 49ers call those plays for obvious reasons. I think the 49ers will have a chance to hit the Rams and on these big plays. So the Rams, since in the second half of this season, are only 17th in passing efficiency and EPA passing efficiency. So you've seen them play out. We've seen it the last few weeks too, that again, we talked about Matt Stafford a little bit earlier, but they're not a team that really overwhelms you. You're never out of the game. I don't know if it's because they play down to their competition or they play up to their competition, whatever it may be. But I mean, even looking at history, the 49ers beat them 5 freaking times in a row. I don't know, man. I'm fascinated to see where this game ends up, but I give the 49ers a pretty good shot here with Lance under center.
You know what it's going to be, KP. If they lose that game against the Rams next week, for whatever reason, people are going to be out for Trey Lance. Jimmy always beats the Rams. We always beat the Rams with Jimmy Garoppolo. It's going to be, in a way, Trey Lance is going to kind of compete with a ghost a little bit if he does get the start against the Rams, just because that's what these stands are, man. They're die hard. They ride or die with Jimmy G.
Yeah, it's going to suck just because it kind of takes away from Lance in general or the team, because you don't have to knock somebody down to talk somebody up. If you are, comfortable with Jimmy G starting, you feel like Jimmy G should start against the Rams. There's nothing wrong with that, but we don't have to go out of our way to. Ooh, Michael.
I love this comment. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Let's talk about it. Forget what I'm saying.
This is so good. Michael Cottrell. Sorry, Michael, if I said your name wrong. We had an interception and still won. That is such a telling stat because that doesn't happen with Jimmy Garoppolo, and we both know why that is, KP.
It's like 1-7 or something, right?
Right.
It's something crazy.
Because as you've said, they don't get the explosive plays when Jimmy Garoppolo is there. Lance had an interception, but he also had explosive plays. That makes up for it.
Man, that is a great point, Michael, just because, again, other parts of your game are forgivable when you have explosive plays. I would go out on a limb and say the 49ers, what would they have? It depends if you count that Aiyuk one, but just in one half, I would imagine they had the most explosive plays in one half than they did today than any other game. And I feel confident saying that, which is crazy because it didn't really feel like they were dropping back and throwing the ball all over the place. It was only a few times, but they maximized each drive. So, yeah, man, to know that you can overcome a freaking turnover, because be honest with yourself, when that happens, when Jimmy Garoppolo is under center, when a turnover happens, you're like, oh, man, here we go. And then things tend to snowball when that happens, and that wasn't the case today, which, again, I don't know how much of that has to do with the Texans, but the 49ers still did what they had to do.
That's the comment of the day, Michael. Thank you very much. You are 1,000% right. How about this comment from Merrill Klein on the Facebook page? Do you think there's any chance we see a hybrid offense in the postseason, assuming we get in with both Jimmy and Lance? Now, Tim Kawakami had an article this week essentially kind of saying the same thing, that he thinks the 49ers could have a super secret quarterback plan that they're going to unveil in the postseason. I don't know if I buy that. I don't think that's the way they're going to go with it. But what do you think? Is there a chance that, if they did go back to Jimmy, that they would throw Trey in there more?
No, it's going to be Jimmy. If Jimmy is healthy, Jimmy is going to play. If Jimmy is active, he is going to play. Lance, I still think they wanted to redshirt him. Even after today, if Jimmy was able to fully recover from his thumb injury, I don't think there's a shot that Lance would play. The only reason that this is in question is just because, he might not be active. So if both guys are active, it'll be Jimmy. So yeah, that's so far-fetched. And if we would have seen, like a hybrid quarterback situation, it wouldn't be in the first round of the playoffs. Like Shanahan would have rolled it out against like a team like the Jaguars or like today. Well, you couldn't have today, but he would have rolled it out much sooner in the regular season to see how that works, to be able to test it out in the playoffs. And that's just not an option anymore.
Shanahan said that Garoppolo didn't throw it all up to the run up to this game. His honest guess, you could really believe him because he says it's his honest guess. Garoppolo will be able to play against the Rams, but that's not a given. Jimmy watched the game today with thumb wrapped in black medical tape. Look, this is the last thing I'm going to say on this, and then we can wrap it up. If you're not 1,000% sure that Jimmy Garoppolo can go and do it and hold on to the football and throw the ball accurately, then forget it. Then you cannot put him out there. You can't sacrifice a quarter or a couple drives or a half in the Rams game and then say to Trey Lance in half a game when he hasn't taken the full amount of reps during the week against a really good Rams team, oh, hey, go save us now. I guess I was wrong. You got to commit to a guy and stick with it and go with it. That's why I just think playing Jimmy Garoppolo, torn ligaments do not heal in a week. I'm sorry. It's stupid.
So let's say that he does play, he's managing the pain, and let's say he's 85%. So he gets hit by Aaron freaking Donald. And then Trey Lance goes a whole week of practice without getting any reps. And now you have to put Trey Lance in the game because Jimmy hit his thumb on so-and-so's helmet, which is something that could happen in football. And when I say this, I want to be very clear that I'm not rooting for Jimmy to get hurt. I'm just saying that there's a possibility, knowing he already has an injured thumb, of that thumb being re-aggravated. That is just terrifying to think about. So yeah, again, when you think about this in that sense, it would be tough to put him out there.
It's frustrating that we have to go through this whole thing again this week, but whatever. It's still a win. 49ers get a big win that they needed. They are now 9-7 on the year with one game left in the regular season in LA against the Rams. Do you think that gets flexed to Sunday night?
I think so. Yeah, I don't know,
man.
So what? For some reason, people are saying it could be Saturday night. That's not right, is it?
Actually, they do have games on Saturday, and I think that they do have the ability. Let me look really quick. I think
there's one spot available. Maybe that's what it is. They're going to be in prime time next week. I feel like no matter what, though.
When do the Saints play? The Saints play at 1. So the 49ers will know when they play whether or not they need, because if the Saints lose, the Niners clinch, right?
Right. But unless the Niners play on Saturday.
Right. They usually don't like teams to know ahead of time. They usually try and do everything they can to match it up. So maybe we'll see some.
The Niners and Seahawks were flexed to Sunday night a couple years ago.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see how it turns out. But Niners get the win. Congratulations, Trey Lance. Hell yeah. I'm going to rewatch this film 50,000 times between now and next week. I'm sure you're going to have breakdowns on your YouTube page, Kyle, right?
Can't wait, man. As soon as it drops, this will be the first thing I want to watch. I want to see exactly what he did. I want to see what led to that slow start. I want to see how he was able to overcome that. And I want to see if, who was at fault for those early struggles. But, man, it was fun to see them open things up a little bit. Appreciate you, Billy.
Billy D. Kyle, your film breakdowns are superb, man. Keep it up. They 100% are. They've made me smarter. Those are on Kyle's YouTube page. Just search Kyle Posey. It pops right up. It will make you a better and smarter fan. That's going to do it for us. Thank you, everybody. Again, please rate, review, and follow the Niners Nation Podcast Network. We went over 1 million downloads in November, and we have been smashing it since then. We are so grateful. Kyle, thank you for hopping on here with no notice whatsoever. Akash had something pop up. You saved me tonight, man. I really appreciate it.
Always, man. It's always easy to get on here and talk about it when they win.
Hell yeah. Enjoy the rest of your night, everybody. Enjoy the win, and we'll talk to you next week.